Good morning, folks, and welcome to Rambam. We are in the book of Karbonos, offerings, sacrifices. And we are coming to the end of it. We're learning the laws of Tmura, we're starting. Tmura means exchange. If something is sanctified and holy, can you exchange it? Right? Yeah. You can do a business deal, like, a business deal is an exchange, right? You exchange goods for money or goods for goods, or whatever it might be, right? That's when it comes to mundane things. But if something has already got holiness to it, can you exchange it and put holiness onto something else, right? And so on. So that's where we're going to learn right now. Alrighty, let me yell that in, people. Thank you. Let's get right to it. Laws of Tmura, chapter 1, the laws of transfer of holiness from one sacrificial animal to another. Okay? Included in this text are 3 commandments, 1 positive and 2 negative. They are not to transfer holiness of a sacrificial animal. Okay? There it is. Don't do it. All right? To regard the animal to which holiness was transferred is consecrated as if such a transfer was made. So if you did, now the Torah is saying that, oh, okay, it's going to be holy. What you transferred to will be holy, right? So if you have, this cow was holy because you said, I'm using this for my sin offering, right? Mm-hmm. Or for the holiday offering that's coming. I'm going to use it, right? And then I said, oh, you know what? I forgot that this is, what's her name? The cow that gives milk, Jersey. She gives such good milk. Oh, I made a mistake, the wrong cow, right? So what am I got to transfer the holiness from it onto, this one over here. Guess what? You can't, once it's sanctified and consecrated, it's consecrated. So what happened when I did the act of transference? Well, they're both holy. Right? Well, as we're going to learn, that's this second mitzvah, right? That if you did do the act of transference, as it's consecrated. And number 3, not to change animals from one consecrated purpose to another. In other words, I consecrated this for a sin offering, so don't transfer it now to be a peace offering, right? That's also a transference. Don't do that. Okay?
So there's the transference of animal, but also the transference of purpose.
Of purpose, exactly. Okay. Halacha number 1, anyone who transfers holiness from one animal to another is liable for lashes. Whoa. When are you liable for lashes? Huh? When? Liable means, do you get it? Liable means you could get it. Doesn't mean you get it if you did it. Only when there's 2 witnesses who warn you before doing it. Don't do this. It's against the law, and this is what's going to happen to you. You're going to get lashes if you do it, and you went ahead and did it anyways, right? So, why are we telling this? Because we need to know the parameters of the law, right? But anytime you're liable for lashes, it means that there were witnesses that warned you. Now, if there weren't witnesses that warned you, it's not like, no one sees it, nothing happened. No, something happened, and you transgressed Hashem's law, and there might be, in some instances, will be early death by the hands of heaven, but not by a court of law. Lashes would be by a court of law, right? But doing something wrong is wrong, period, whether there's a consequence or not, right? But liable for lashes just means that there were 2 witnesses who warned you right before the act, by the way. If they warned you the day before or the morning and you did it in the afternoon, no, you're not liable for lashes. Yeah. But those are the laws of when we learn those laws. I'm just, filling in some of the blanks here. Okay? So you're liable for lashes for every animal from which you transferred the holiness, as the verse says, because that's what they do not exchange it and do not transfer its holiness, even though he did not perform a deed. So what's unique over here? Usually you have to perform a deed to get lashes. You had to do something, right? But here there's no action. Right, okay, now let's continue. He's going to explain. According to the oral tradition, it was taught that any negative commandment that does not involve a deed is not punishable by lashes, with the exception of one who takes a false or an unnecessary oath, one who transfers the holiness of a sacrificial animal. In other words, generally, when are you liable lashes? You have to do an act, like you took something like non-kosher fat, right, or something non-kosher meat, and you ate it, and you were warned, don't eat it. That's an action. You took it, you ate it, right? That's an action. But here, there's no action, right? Oh, you didn't do something. All you did is say something, right? I'm transferring from this animal. I want Jersey onto this animal. That's not an act. That's you verbalize something. Torah said, nonetheless, in this particular instance, even though it doesn't fit the general principle, you will get lashes. Likewise, you will also get lashes if you took an unnecessary oath. Again, all you did was say something verbally. There wasn't an action done, right? Nonetheless, in those instances, right, one curses a colleague mentioning God's name, also you'll get lashes, even though, again, it's only speech. These three negative commands can never involve a deed at all, and yet one is liable for lashes for their violation. Just let's.
What if someone warns you, but he's not certain if it's, for example, kosher? Because
so we learned that.
I mean, that's kosher, but
so then that first of all, then it's a doubt, right? And it's not a real warning, right? Warning means that this is not kosher, and there's a punishment that comes with it. It's not just that it's not kosher, there's a punishment that comes with it, and a person has to be aware of it. If the person wasn't paying attention to you, right, and they got warned, then they wouldn't be liable, because they have to be mentally aware that they are in this moment transgressing, right? They weren't mentally aware because they were just not focused, right? But those are the parameters of the the liability. Okay. Okay. Why is one liable for lashes for transferring holiness of an animal? After all, it is a negative commandment that can be corrected by a positive commandment. What's a positive commandment? If you will transfer its holiness, it and the animal will be, which its holiness will be transferred, shall be consecrated. So he's asking a very good question there, Rambam. If there is a positive commandment that can fix the negative commandment that you transgress, then there isn't lashes. Here, there is a positive commandment that can fix the negative commandment. What is that? That both of them become holy, right? So what you didn't mitigate the holiness of that animal just because you said something. You just made something else also holy. So then you shouldn't get lashes, the Rambam is asking, right? Good question. Because that's the principle. The principle is that you only get lashes when the final deed that you did, you ate something that wasn't good. You can't fix that. I mean, besides tshuva, but we're not talking about meaning fix it in halachic terms,
yes,
right? Here in halachic terms, you can fix it. How so? Because it remains holy, and not only that, now you have even another holy thing, right? So he explains because it has one positive commandment and two negative commands, and because the negative commandment it involves is not the same nature of the positive commandment. This is reflected by the ruling of the Jewish community or partners to try to transfer holiness to a sacrificial animal, the transfer is not effective. Nevertheless, they are warned not to transfer the holiness. So, because there's two negative commandments over here versus one, so it's not like, so there's another problem that you have created that is not being fixed by the fact that it remains consecrated and the other animal is also consecrated. And he says this reflected in this other law. Thus, when an individual transfers the holiness of a sacrificial animal, the animal to which he transferred, the holiness is consecrated. Even if he transfers holiness on Shabbos, he is liable for 40 lashes. If, by contrast, partners of a sacrificial animal, excuse me, endeavor to transfer the holiness, or an endeavor is made to transfer the holiness of an animal designated for communal sacrifice, since the person has a share in the sacrifice, he is liable for lashes, but the animal to which he endeavored to transfer the holiness is not consecrated. Because only one person did it, and therefore one person cannot transfer it if it's owned by two people. Right? If you're a partner with somebody else and you transferred, right? To an animal, my animal, let's say it's my animal, or even we're a partner, but this animal is consecrated. By transferring it to an animal, right, that is a partnership between two people, I'm only doing it, but my partner is not. So it can't be transferred because you can't transfer it to half of it, right? Okay. Okay. Number two. Whether one transfers the holiness of an animal as an intentional transgression, or one does so inadvertently, the transfer of holiness is effective and the person is liable for lashes. Ooh, what does it imply? How do you do it inadvertently if you got warned? I don't get that. One intended to say, this animal should be considered as an exchange for an animal consecrated as a burnt offering that I possess. And instead he said, this animal should be considered as an exchange for an animal consecrated as a peace offering that I possess. Transfer of holiness is effective and he's liable for lashes. In other words, he inadvertently did the wrong thing, right? Referred to the wrong thing. But he's aware that, I mean, the warning has to be obviously that he's doing a transgression. He just expressed the wrong thing. Nonetheless, it in exchange become consecrated. If, however, he thought that he was permitted to transfer holiness, or he said, I will enter that house and transfer the holiness of sacrificial animal willfully, and instead he entered and transferred the holiness of the unknowingly. The transfer of the holiness is effective, but it's not liable for lashes for it, because he transgressed unknowingly. That's the key. Remember, you're only liable for lashes if you were very clear, you're warned very clearly. But here, he did it unknowingly and therefore not effective. Okay, I gotta stop over here. To be continued, God willing.